To the manager.
Very briefly, we received grant award funds back in 2004 from the Air Resources Board. We had until June 30th of 2007 to expend those funds. We appropriated or approved, I think it's 18 projects for those funds. The total amount of the award was $230,000. However, due to many of the economic issues and the regulatory issues that we just talked about, a number of people dropped out of the program. They were unwilling to, the upgrades that are funded under the Carl Moyer program at this time were not good enough to qualify for the proposed regulation. So folks would have to spend money out of their own pocket to upgrade their truck. We'd pay for about 1/3 of that expense, and then they'd have to upgrade again in 3 or 4 years or sell the truck. And then they'd have to pay us back because it's a 7-year contract. So we had a number of people who backed out of the program, and we couldn't find other folks to backfill the program with short notice. So we ended up with unspent funds, and by law we have to return those to the Air Resources Board. For some reason they've waited about a year before, more than a year after the funds needed to be returned before they requested them. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Supervisor Pinches, you pulled this out.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just don't like the idea of sending $62,000 back to the state. There's no way we can use that with the program and our Department of Transportation, Howard, don't need? I mean,
there's no way we can do that at this time. We could have done it prior to June 30th, 2007, but the funds would had to have been expended completely by that date. Anything that was unexpended at that date needs to go back to Sacramento. We were able to keep the interest on the money. We have another 2 years to expend the interest. So we are working on.
When do you have to send that money back? What's your?
That would be June 30th, 2009.
Oh, well, I wouldn't send it back till June 29th, 2009.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Seriously, let's get the interest on it.
We actually hold on to the funding until they request for it in writing, rather than sending it back automatically, which usually takes, as we see here, 18 months.
Thank you.
And meeting as the Air Quality Management District, I think that would be appropriate, that we hold on to those funds as long as we can until they request them and/or the date comes forward to where we can receive some benefit in the meantime for those funds. Supervisor Delmer.
Well, thank you. I was assuming for a moment that the whole CARB issue is not resolved by that deadline. When you send this check back, or we send this check back, Mr. Brown, if we could have a letter to go with that to the state board explaining the absurdity of returning the $62,000 because of the absurdity of these regs that prevent these folks from actually upgrading their equipment because of the timelines, that everything that you just explained. When that's spelled out in a letter that the chair of the board can sign, which would be Supervisor Pinches, and then copied to our state legislators, I think that will help illustrate the problem that we're facing here. I think it has to go along with the check back to them as a clear explanation of why.
Yeah, I will gladly work with a letter with the chair, whoever it is, to
Thank you.
send that letter back.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So what is the action of the board on item 2 here?
I'm not going to make the motion.
Okay. Is anyone else going to make the motion, or we could put this off until June 29th, or some other alternative?
Well, you might want to get county council's input. There is a legislative requirement that the funds be returned. I'm not sure what would happen if the board did not act to return the funds, but
Just make a directive to the chair.
it's a good legal question.
I'll look at it.
Okay, or I can just direct the repayment, I guess.
Yeah, you need to take the appropriate action today.
Okay, so directed by order of the chair, I guess. Regretfully.
I'll have the letter reflect that.
Okay. Once in a while I do get to have a little bit of power, I guess, but not much. Okay. Let's see. Let's take up the DOT Director's Report. And there was some discussion, I believe, on that item. Supervisor Pinches as the DOT director comes forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Howard, I was the one that had a question on your first paragraph under the Prop 1B update. It says upgrade intersections on state highways. I was not only at our budget deliberations, but at a meeting we had here probably a couple months ago, twice, I thought it was clear to direct you that we're going to use our 1B dollars for our chip seal and pavement program. And it makes more sense to do that now than ever, because the price of oil going down, we're going to get a lot more with our 1B dollars in miles of road, chip sealed and paved, than we ever would. And I'm not sure that I want it as priority of this board to helping the state, like upgrade intersections, whether it's here at Perkins, Talmadge, or all these, or on the coast or wherever. I was really surprised when I seen this, because I thought it was clear direction that we're going to use the 1B dollars for our chip seal and pavement program, which you laid out. So I think, Howard, what he's looking for here, if you look at the wording, it says, with the consent of the Board of Supervisors, as implied by no